Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. It's Jay from Mitosu Crafts and welcome to the Global Stampin Video Hop with the theme of Emboss Resist. So today I'm creating a card featuring the Darling Details bundle, so the stamp set and the dies, and sharing with you different ways that you can use the Emboss Resist to create a card. So I've got loads of basic white card stock, one for my card base, which is 21 centimeters by 14 centimeters, or that's 8 1/4 by 5 1/2. Some scrap piece of white, so I'll be doing some stamping, die cutting, and emboss resist technique on that one. A layer which is 1 centimeter smaller than the card front, or that's 3/8 of an inch smaller than the card front. I've got a piece of pre-embossed card, so I used the Basics 3D embossing folder for this one, and this one, the width is the same as the card layer and the height is 5 centimeters or 2 inches. And I'm gonna head and pre-die cut myself the stylish shaped circle, which is the third from the smallest, as well as the banner from the Nested Essentials dies, the biggest one. And this one as well has been embossed with the crisscross crosshatch from the Basics 3D embossing folder as well. So let's get started with embossing. So first things first, Embossing Additions Toolkit is great because it got the embossing body, so do prepare your card that you'll be embossing with. And because the Darling Details is a two-step stamping stamp, it's another technique to add onto your card making as well and onto your card. So hopefully that is all covered. I'm gonna show you how you can emboss in any color using different inks. So that is using the outline stamp and lemon lolly. With the emboss resist, it's kind of like the other way around of having the outline lighter, and instead of the outline being the darker color of the two, so you can switch it around with the emboss resist. So I'm just inking up my outline in Versamark and then add color to that and stamp. I'm just gonna quickly clean my stamp and then I'll show it to you twice. And then do the same. Whilst it's still wet, get your tray from the toolkit and then sprinkle clear embossing powder onto your stamp images, just so that is already on there. I didn't want the Versamark to dry, but before we heat set that, we can just continue doing some other stamping. Actually, I still need that one. So for the next one, we are going to use the other floral image, and this time I'm going to change up the color. So I'm going to use Coastal Cabana. Again, ink that up in Versamark, add color, and stamp. Quickly do and clean that again, and I'll just do a second layer, ink it up in Versamark. So it's just an extra step if you wanna emboss in different colors by adding the colored ink. That's lovely. After you add the Versamark. So I'll just add that on. Just make sure it's all covered. So now that I have those elements done, I'm going to do my sentiment, and this one I'm gonna use lemon lime twist. So I really like this technique, and to add like bright colors and lighter colors as your accents as well. The sentiment I'm gonna use is just the thank you one. So again, Versamark, ink, and stamp. I don't think I prepared my card, but fingers crossed. In the toolkit, you do have the tweezers as well, so that's a handy tool, especially when you're heat embossing, and the heat tool within a small section, so you won't heat up your hands. That's that one done, and finally, I'm just gonna do my layer. So this is my layer. I'm just gonna stamp some random what is that? Flowers. That's what it's called. If you do find that your stamp gets a bit that it loses its stick, clean it up with soapy water, or for the time being I'm just gonna clean it up with my chamois, and that should be hopefully be sticky. So I'm just gonna do a couple on the top right. So just, if you can't see the design, just hold it up towards the light, so the reflection hopefully you can see. And again, I'm just gonna do some random stamping. I think that is enough. Maybe one more for luck. There we go. And we're just gonna add, again, I'm just gonna add clear. You can, for this one, you can use the white embossing powder if you prefer. You do get 3 in a pack, white, clear, and black. So that is in the basic embossing powder pack. There we go. I'll just clean that up later. So I'm just gonna heat tool these and set them. We're independent Stampin' Up demonstrators based in the UK, so if you live in the UK, France, Germany, Austria, Netherlands, Belgium, or Ireland, you'll be able to purchase current Stampin' Up products from our online shop. So now we have our emboss images and sentiment. We'll do some stamping. So as I mentioned, the Darling Details is 2-step stamping. So you do have the filler stamp, so you can just ink that up and stamp. So for the flowers, I'm gonna use Melon Mambo. So a quick way to ink up all of your image in one go. I'm just gonna check that that matches. It is slightly harder to line it up just because you can't see the lighter color underneath, but that is now done. Or what you could do, if you don't have a 2-step stamping stamp, you can color. So another, using your water painters. So Emboss Resist, so the lighter color, Lemon Lolly, will be won't be affected. So you can just color from the inside or from the outside in. So I don't mind. I'm just gonna be and add more color, water, and just do a wash in the center. You can be a bit more detailed if preferred. So on the outer layers of the petals, and just go over the outline as well, because this image has got some coordinating die, so it will die cut it out. So I'm just gonna finish that up. But again, so you have stamping, watercolor, and I'll do the same for the next two flowers. So what I quite like about the stamp, it's got the texture already, so you don't have to like think about the shading or how you watercolor the image. But that's already two different techniques with the Emboss Resist. I'm just gonna finish this up with Blueberry Bushel. So I'm just gonna stamp that with Blueberry Bushel. Twice. Or for another technique, you can use a dauber. So the dauber, ink that up, and then again just ink up all of it. But again, with this way, you loses the detail of the stamp. Also, you lose the subtleness of the watercolor. And then finally, well, not finally, the next one we have is the sentiment. So I'm gonna use, so we've already used watercolor stamp or water painter stamp, a sponge dauber. I'm gonna use the small blending brush or the large blending brush. There's two different sizes, and I'm gonna ink blend Shaded Spruce. So from one side, just ink it up. So this one is a nice way to have the gradient as well if you want to, or if you want to have a completely block color like a cardstock, you can just place that on top of your ink pad. So I'm just gonna finish that up a bit more darker on one side. Along the base. So that's with the ink blending brush. And I'll do the same for my card layer. So this one I'm gonna use the Hessian Tide. So take off any excess if you want it lightly. That way you can control the subtleness on the background. Or you can even swipe your ink pad as well. But for the look of this card, I just wanted it slightly on the top there. That's gonna get covered, that's fine. So that is now done. So get a piece of tissue, kitchen roll, and just buff your embossed images. Sometimes you have to huff on it just to kind of like make sure that the ink comes off, so you can see that it makes that embossed line a lot more lighter as it was originally. It is a bit messy technique, but that is fine. So now we have that, we have that. So these ones have got die cuts. So I'm just gonna die cut these. And also die cut. I've gone ahead and pre-die cut this image or design in lemon lime twist. So now we have our die cuts. If you prefer to not have the white edges, again you can use your sponge dauber or your blending brush. I'm just gonna finish that off. So the sponge dauber adds a thicker or a quicker way to add the colors, but as mentioned earlier, you don't have that gradient. So with the ink blending, I have a pink one. Just do Melon Mambo. Or what you could do as well is use, if your die cut isn't as shaped, I guess, or it doesn't have much indentation, you can use the side of your ink pad. That is slightly harder to do with this particular die. So with the ink blending, you can have that a lot more subtle if you prefer, or not as dark as some areas within the image, but that is okay. There's a tiny bit of white on there, and of course don't forget to buff your image or die cuts again with clean or clean-ish tissue. So yes, that is, we have that. So we've done that and that. So we're just gonna finish up our card and construct. That's just gonna go straight down. It does warp slightly your card, so just be prepared with that. And this card will have loads of layers. So let me know in the comments below which do you prefer with your embossing resist or emboss resist technique. What do you normally use? Blending brush, watercolor, sponge dauber, and what do you think about the embossing in any color using ink pads? So that is now done. I'm just gonna add that as well, so a banner or a strip right in the center. So with this strip, I actually embossed a bigger piece of cardstock and then cut it down to size, because sometimes when you emboss, it does warp. Now I do have inky fingers, so I'm just turning it over, or sometimes what works is use a block just to make sure that it is clean first, and that looks okay. Now we're just gonna add our elements. It's already got a bit of height. Ooh. That way, and then finish up with some more. height with dimensional. I'm just gonna add that on centrally, and I have got a couple more of these that are pre-done. And that will need some support. So just anything that's off, if you think it'll need support, just add some more dimensional just to keep it in place. I forgot I wanted to keep this inside, so that's gonna go. I just want a tiny hint of it, so that's the same way that I've done that one. Because I forgot to insert it, I'm just gonna cut that. I still want it in there, so I guess you have that extra. You can add it somewhere else if you want, or for another project, but I will just make sure that there's enough space. There, and then finish up with these underneath. And don't forget your other die cut. That's just gonna get inserted on top there. We've already got the sentiment, so just to finish up, what else have we got? Another one on top there. And I'm just looking at where the flow of the sentiment and the elements. And I've already gone ahead and pre-done a small bow. This is the Tahitian Tide or in color Baker's Twine. And I'm just gonna add that on after I add this Pebbled Path textured ribbon using mini glue dot. Again, I'm just gonna slot that in. I could always cut that down. Size. Insert in. I had my pick tool in the wrong direction. I couldn't put it in. So there we go. Just tidy that up. Cut down our ribbon. And I'm just gonna add some rhinestone. A small one. So there we go, that's my card for the Global Stampin Video Hop. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. And check the description below for the product links as well as the next link in the video hop. Thanks again for joining me today. Until next time, bye!